The storm came without warning. Sheets of rain lashed the streets, turning the city into a blur of headlights and reflection. Elizabeth's hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as her car skidded slightly on the slick asphalt. Her mind was a jumble of panic and disbelief, and then she saw him, Marcus, the man she had loved quietly, secretly for years, the boy from high school whose smile had once lit up her world. He stood under the street lamp, tall, composed, rain dripping from his coat, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Before she could speak, a truck horn blared, tires screeched, and Elizabeth jerked the wheel. Heart hammering, she slammed the brakes. Glass rattled. Thunder roared. The chaos outside mirrored the storm inside her. Why now? Why here? Marcus stepped forward, his hands steady, reaching for her. She hesitated. Her pulse raced, not just from fear, but from memory, from all the silent suffering she had endured because of the world's hatred, and the love she had carried in secret. She remembered high school, the first time she noticed the cruel glances, the whispers behind his back, teachers who praised her but dismissed him, friends who smiled at her but froze when he joined a conversation. Every day was a lesson in inequality, in invisible walls, and yet she loved him. She had loved him silently, faithfully, though society had tried to tear them apart. The next day, at work, the echoes of discrimination were relentless. A promotion she deserved went to someone else, someone with less skill but more acceptable credentials. The HR manager avoided her eyes, muttering about fit and culture. She clenched her fists in her office, barely holding back tears. Marcus had warned her once that life was not fair, but she hadn't known the depth of it until now. Over the next few days, she tried to navigate a world that seemed determined to humiliate him too. Marcus had returned to the city to care for his ailing mother, and already the subtle racism was palpable. A cab refused to take him. A cafe manager muttered under his breath as Marcus entered. Strangers stared. The weight of society pressed down like a physical force. Elizabeth's heart ached. She hated this world and loved Marcus all at once, a cruel paradox. But he bore it with dignity, calm, strength, and it reminded her why she had loved him in the first place. One evening, as they walked home from a late-night diner, a group of men blocked their path. "You don't belong here," one spat, eyes narrowed. Marcus's hand went to her shoulder instinctively. Elizabeth's knees threatened to buckle. The world was telling them again that love and justice did not always go hand in hand. But Marcus did not flinch. He looked at them, steady and unyielding. "We belong wherever we choose," he said. His voice was calm, but the steel beneath it made the men hesitate. Then they laughed, turned and left. A small victory, but a victory nonetheless. That night, lying awake, Elizabeth replayed every injustice she had endured. The job she had lost because a man of color was too much trouble for the company. The landlord who refused Marcus when they tried to rent an apartment together. The neighbors who whispered, "Why is she always with him?" Every memory carved deeper into her heart the pain of living in a world ruled by bias. Yet there were moments of hope. Late-night conversations where laughter cut through despair. Rainy walks where Marcus held her hand without fear, without apology. These moments reminded her that love could exist even in the shadow of cruelty. Weeks passed. Racism escalated in more subtle, systemic ways. Marcus applied for work, and the responses were polite on paper but clearly dismissive. Elizabeth tried to shield him, but she could not fight society alone. They argued, sometimes frustration, exhaustion, anger, but the love between them remained, a tether strong enough to hold them through the storms. And then came the micro-twist. The old high school rival, now a wealthy businessman, recognized Marcus at a charity event. He whispered lies, attempting to manipulate others into seeing Marcus as unworthy. The subtle insinuations hit Elizabeth like a dagger, but Marcus faced it calmly, answering every question with integrity, letting his actions speak louder than their malicious words. Elizabeth's past haunted her. She remembered being forced to leave a job she loved, dismissed as not a good fit because of the man she stood beside. She remembered the nights she cried alone, wishing she could erase herself from the judgment of others. And yet, Marcus's return reminded her of the strength she had ignored inside herself for years. The turning point came when a major crisis struck. A wealthy developer attempted to buy out Marcus's mother's property, leveraging local officials and exploiting subtle racial biases to corner him. Legal threats, veiled insults, and public humiliation followed. Elizabeth's heart broke for him, and yet she found a fierce resolve. Together, they confronted the injustice, leveraging truth, evidence, and the support of allies who had quietly observed their struggle. Days blurred into nights, meetings, courtrooms, whispered threats. Elizabeth stood beside Marcus at every turn, heart racing, palms sweaty, voice shaking but unwavering. And slowly, the tide began to turn. Victory was not immediate. It came in moments. A judge ruling in their favor, neighbors apologizing for past behavior. The realization that justice was possible when courage met persistence. Every small victory felt monumental after years of systemic oppression. Finally, the night before the last hearing, they sat together on the porch of Marcus's family home. Rain had stopped, leaving a quiet, cleansing calm. Elizabeth looked at him, his face lined not with age, but with the wisdom and strength earned through hardship. She realized then that love had always been the most defiant act of courage they could share. The final hearing was intense. Opponents attempted one last smear campaign, but Marcus's integrity, coupled with Elizabeth's unwavering support, shone through. Justice prevailed not by chance, but through courage, persistence, and refusal to be silenced. As they walked home afterward, the city felt lighter. Every injustice they had endured still lingered in memory, but each step forward was a testament to resilience. Elizabeth felt tears of relief and joy streaking her face. Marcus squeezed her hand, and she realized that the world could not take away what they had fought to preserve: their love, dignity, and the right to exist without apology. Weeks later, in a quiet, sunlit park, Marcus and Elizabeth sat with friends and family. Children played nearby. Birds chirped. The world outside continued in its chaos, but for the first time, they could breathe without fear. Their journey had been long, painful, and unjust, but they had emerged stronger together. Elizabeth whispered to Marcus, "I loved you all those years, even when the world tried to make us strangers." He smiled, eyes glistening, and I waited even when the world tried to break me. But we're here, together. A final micro-twist. A passerby overheard their story, visibly moved, whispering, "They survived after everything." It was a reminder that the story of love and resilience could inspire others, ignite hope, and challenge injustice. Elizabeth's voice broke the silence. "If anyone ever tells you that love cannot overcome hate, remember us. We faced pain, discrimination, and silence, and we survived." Marcus added softly, "And in surviving, we live not just for ourselves, but for everyone who is told they don't belong." The screen of life seemed to pause on that moment, whose souls, scarred but unbroken, standing in a world that had tried to erase them. The moral was simple, yet profound. Love, courage, and integrity are stronger than hate, and the quiet persistence of the human spirit can achieve justice when all else fails. Elizabeth and Marcus walked away, hands entwined, hearts full, leaving a trail of hope in their wake. A story of pain transformed into triumph. A tale that demanded to be shared, to be remembered, and to inspire.